Welcome to the Charles Vanhorn Show. Today is Saturday, July the 11th. And of all of the podcasts that I have done in the past, this podcast will probably be one of the most controversial because I will touch on one of the third rails in our society, which is religion, race and politics being the other. For those that know me, I grew up in Christianity, and I was converted to Christianity at 6 years old. And as I grew up in life, I became a Baptist minister and continued to preach the gospel according to the Christian faith. And like most people, my religious preference was based on geography. Because if you live in the United States, you more than likely will identify as Christian because it is the dominant religion in the country. But if you were born, should I say, in Africa, your preference is either Christianity or Islam. If you are born in Japan, you are likely Buddhist or you subscribe to one of the Shinto religions. China has 5 state religions: Buddhism, Catholicism, Taoism, Islam, and Protestantism. Now that I have your attention, what causes people to subscribe to one belief system or the other? Or how can one religion identify itself as the true religion, who worships the true God, and classify all other religions as false? Now, today I'm not going to try and cover all of the subject matter in this one podcast because it would be impossible. But from time to time, I will come back in future broadcasts to touch on these subjects. Let's just think about this. Millions, or should I say billions of people believe that there is a God or a sovereign being who intercedes on the behalf of those who believe and pray to him or her. But there are also others who believe that there are gods and goddesses who reign throughout the dimensions of time and space. The word God is created from the word good, and the word devil is created from the word evil. These forces of good and evil create balance throughout the universe, and they sort of give us a yin and yang effect. Neither one is greater than the other. Because people always ask, if God is all powerful, wouldn't he just have destroyed the devil? Or wouldn't he have just rid the world of evil? Of course he would have. But because of the cosmic balance, one cannot exist without the other. Many people ask me, what is your faith? And to me, I believe that faith is a personal experience. Because if you ask 1,000 people if they believe in God, you will get 1,000 different answers and explanations. So I try not to get bogged down in the endless cycles of proving or disproving in the existence or non-existence of God. My philosophy is quite simple: to each his or her own. I've had debates with Christians and non-Christians alike in the past. And what I have found is that people usually feel comfortable in crowds of people who hold similar beliefs and ideologies. When I left the church in 2012, many people thought that I had turned my back on God, and they became concerned. There were people who were angry and upset with me, people who I had been friends with for years, people with whom I had fellowship and vacation with, people I had went and had lunch and dinner and been to their homes, and they had been to my homes. They suddenly disassociated themselves from my company. All because I said that I was no longer a Christian, but an agnostic, a word which they quickly associated as being an atheist. An agnostic really is a person who says that no one has the answer when it comes to God. No one knows what lies beyond the grave. no one has an answer. And we're all just actually experiencing life and going on this journey together. But most people don't understand that concept. They believe that they have the knowledge. They believe they have the answer and that they know the mystery of the universe. I don't buy into that because there is no one who has an answer to the unknown. Now, I want you to know that my friends and family became quite concerned. I received text messages, emails, phone calls from people letting me know that I was bound for hell. I was labeled as an heretic, an unbeliever, an apostate. Really, I had people coming to my job with tears in their eyes, begging me to come back to the church. I had people coming to me saying, God sent me to tell you that you're needed. And they honestly believe that God had sent them to me. God had sent them as a messenger to get my attention. Some even thought that God had given me over to a reprobate mind. Now, whatever that means, I'm not here to discuss reprobates because I don't know where some of these religious explanations and ideologies come from. People didn't really want to hear my explanation as to how I came to this decision in my life. All they knew was that I had broken free from the herd and that type of thinking was dangerous. Do you know what herd mentality is? It is defined as this: when people act the same way and adopt similar behaviors as the people around them. So in my instance, I was no longer a sheep, because sheep usually follow one another, and whoever is leading the sheep can easily lead them over a cliff. But since I was no longer a sheep but a goat, and goats were not welcome among the sheep, I had to be removed. I have come to realize that people are comfortable accepting the truth that has been given to them from generation to generation. A lot of people have never done the research on their own as to why they believe. And many Christians who profess to love Jesus and they love God, even though some of them hate their neighbors and hate their brothers and sisters who look a little different than they do, and say that they love God, I have come to the realization that many of them have never researched the Bible, and many of them have never read the entire Bible, and many of them have no clue as to who wrote the Bible. They believe that it was actually written by God. And it would shock them. I mean, it would shock them to their core to learn that Jesus himself was not a Christian. And those who followed his teachings, such as his disciples, were called followers of the way. But like so many Christians, and I have to admit I was like this at one time in my thinking, Christians are adamant in their belief because they believe that they know everything there is to know about God and about Jesus. I soon grew tired of trying to make people understand. People were so set in their beliefs that they usually miss the next step in their evolution. They miss the next step in the journey, which is the ascension. Yes, I had ascended. No, I was not some great prophet or New Age guru, but my thought process had simply become more spiritual and a whole lot less religious. Religion was created for humanity to control the masses, whereas spiritualism was for the gods. Yes, the gods. Gods who had ascended to a more elevated state of mind. If you have ever studied Greek mythology, you will find out that The gods, Zeus, Hera, Apollo, and Athena, and the others, lived on Mount Olympus, and the humans lived on the lower plane. Even Jesus himself ascended to a more perfect state with the Father in a place called heaven. So as humans constantly fight wars because of opposing ideologies about God and about the holy books and whose book is right and whose book is wrong and who's right and who's wrong and who's going to heaven and who's going to hell, there are millions and millions of others who are on another level, a more enlightened path. Remember when Jesus said, "I and my Father are one"? It was the unifying concept of God and man becoming one. No more separate, but one. When a person is able to become one with the universe, everything else around them falls into place. It doesn't matter about beliefs, religions, faiths, true gods, false gods, heaven, hell, the hereafter. All of these things are simply isms, which are designed to separate man from God. When a person truly frees themselves from these man-made constructs, they are able to live a life free from the religious dogma and fear. Again, when people truly free themselves from these man-made constructs, see, man created religion to keep you under control, to make sure that people think a certain way, act a certain way, and do a certain thing. But when people free themselves from these constructs, they're able to live a life free from the religious dogma and fear. Usually in a religious setting, you will have fear to keep you in check, that if you don't do these things, this is going to happen. If you disobey this, this is going to happen. That's the fear that's always associated with religion, to keep people in check. I have people that still come to me and ask me to pray for them, and guess what? I still pray for them. And when they ask, "Do you believe in God?" I say yes, but not as you believe in God. Because if you knew God, you would already know that you are conversing with the oneness of God, because we all are one and created from the one. If you think about it, all of us have within us pieces from the explosion of stars and atoms and space dust, by that which in all things is composed of matter. So when you think about it, we are really just pieces and bits of stars and planets and space dust formed into this living being. Again, in the beginning, when God said, "Let us," I wonder who he was actually conversing with, if you actually believe in the Christian version. But if you delve a little deeper, you would know that God, or the universe, created atom. In the beginning, God created atom. A-T-O-M. So as you allow your mind to think about these things and to understand that you are a living being, a living God, you will always operate beneath the level of who you are. Once you ascend and your mind ascend, you will then start operating as the God on earth, as whom you are supposed to be. You're gods and you really don't know it. I'm not going to go any further today, but thanks for tuning in to my podcast. I hope that this podcast cause you to think and to wonder, not to think really outside the box, but to think that there is no box and that you are free from the box mentality. If you like my podcast, please follow me on Facebook, Charles Vanhorn, or on Twitter, or subscribe to my YouTube channel, Charles Vanhorn. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and keep fighting for equality.